Hey guys, here's the gear. We are going to keep on tromping with the Nacet. And we're getting into the last decade now before we hit the big 500. So today is 491 in terms of blade use. We're going to put the blade in the same razor as last night. This is the Piccolo handle, and it's the Fatip open comb. Whip Dog 22mm Silvertip Badger, a nice budget badger in my opinion, and Whip Dog tall handle. And I've been liking this knot lately, just big and soft, and I think I might re-home it into a different handle that I maybe like just a little bit better. This one gets my fingertips a little too close to the brush, and so I keep having to rinse them off. Mammoth stones, and today is going to be like yesterday, where I am going to see if the soap I'm using is a good one, and I'm confident this will be. Just like yesterday I used Stirling to try the Slurry Lather method. Today we're going to try the Slurry Lather with Mammoth. And in a similar way like before, the Slurry Lather method did give me good slickness with Stirling, but then it always gives me great, Stirling always gives me great slickness. When I mature the lather fully in the bowl or on the face, it's the same. And so it didn't really give me an improved lather, but it's just a good technique for a quick lather is the way to go. Unlike chiseled face, in which I experienced a greater level, a significantly different and greater level of slickness. The kind of slickness that I like, as opposed to when you compare the Slurry Lather method with the regular face lather method, even a bowl lathering method. So we're going to give it a shot here. Let me get my face wet, and let's load up the blade. Identifying marks. And like I always say with the Fatips, you do have to take time and just check them for alignment. Some people do varying techniques, like while they screw them in, they squeeze the blade to make it flex so that it aligns itself. Some people just kind of drop it and then carefully place and assemble the razor from there, and a lot of times just dropping it in there causes it to fall in a neutral place, and we've got a good setting right there. I'm happy with that. All right. You just have to check it. Sometimes it needs a tweak. Some razors just are that way. Continues to be a great value. I think I'll be using Triumph from Stirling as the aftershave splash today. And there's not much else to do, because we don't have to load or anything in terms of getting a bowl ready or anything like that. Pull the brush out. Holds a lot of water, as you can see. With the Slurry Lather method, I shake a lot of the water out, keep it lightly wet. I'm just going to go here and load. I did use this a few weeks ago, so it's not dried out totally by any means. And what we're going to do is just kind of work it for a little bit. Just keep an eye. It doesn't need to be very much time. The amount of soap that I want to get on there has often ended up to be about 5 passes of lather. But it's definitely not any kind of overloading thing like you see some guys do. And then I'm just going to start working that, and we'll see if I shook out too much water. See, it's definitely not draining out like it was yesterday. So maybe I did shake out too much. So then what we can do then is have a little trickle going and dribble some water there, because I want a lot of water compared to soap right now. And then I don't need to mature this lather on my face. There we go, there we go. We got some water dripping out. And there, I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, Get the razor ready. Sometimes razors like this one can be fun to use and customize because of the fact that they're not CNC machined. They're not precise in terms of placing the blade in the same location every time in the razor head. And you can use that to your advantage sometimes if you feel like it, because you can maybe have you have a little bit of play, a little bit of leeway, and what you can do is off-center the blade just a little bit. And keep it even and parallel with the head, but make it off-center slightly, and so you get a little bit more blade exposure on one side. If you've never heard of that idea, you can do that. And there we go, a little quick pass, a little water on my face. Yeah, I can feel that slickness. Okay, and then again, I am going to dribble some water on here. Just that early part of the lather before it actually builds too much into a lather. I may not have loaded for long enough, and that's what this is. I'm just kind of figuring it out. I'm not saying this is the best way. It's just a fast way to get a really slick lather, and it has been working well for Stirling soaps, Mitchell's Wool Fat, Williams, Chiseled Face. To know for sure about this, and I'm going to have to give it another try and load for longer. Or rather, have more water in the brush. I think I shook out too much, so that's what has caused me to have to add back in. And there we go. Water now to splash. And when you can, still feel that really nice slickness during that water splash that I did right there, then that's a good sign. And yeah, I think I needed to load for a little bit longer. And so what I can do is just, I've got that little bit of wetness in my brush. So just a couple of swirls in the tub and look, bam. Is this the lather method I am going to adopt all the time? No, I like the luxury of a creamy lather. I like the feel of the brush on my face. And so this, however, I might use it if I were ever wanting to face lather on a regular basis. I definitely like it for face lathering. And again, the idea is to have lots of water that you mix some of the soap into. And the soap sits around in the water, but it doesn't really build up into a full lather. And somehow it's just super slick. And you can feel, like I can feel right now, and it's got this great residual slickness that's right there. Splash my face with a little bit of water as we will put on the next pass. That feeling of slickness is a great milestone, a great little thing to look for as you're playing with this method. If it feels not slick at all, then you need to add more soap. Maybe you didn't load quite enough. But as you can see, this may even be my fourth pass. I believe I just did my third pass. And we've still got, it just doesn't take much soap. I'm not running out. Razor's got nice protection. My skin has nice protection against the blade because of that really slick layer. So, looks like Mammoth is going to work fine with it. And hey, at least if I didn't start out exactly right, I've kind of been lucky with the other soaps I've used. I've pretty much started out really well in hitting the mix right. But here, at least, I figured out a couple ways to adjust, and that's good to know. Of course, you can dribble water on there. Just go back to the tub for just a brief few swirls is all it took, right? And I mean, I'm moving along. I'm 10 minutes into the shave. It's crazy, right? Oh yeah, and as I splash some water on my face right there, I could just feel that. Let's do another pass just because I can. I felt that great slickness. It's just a wonderful kind of nourishing type of slickness that this soap has. If you like your lather thicker, then this is not the method for you. And that's why I called it the Slurry Lather method, because it's what it was. It's a soap that's in a slurry type arrangement with a whole bunch of water, and so that by definition it's not going to be a thick situation, a thick scenario. So there we go. Fast. 5 passes, I think, and I'm happy with the result. During the break here, I will look at it in greater detail. And yeah, very happy with that. And my criteria, as always, with this marathon blade, because eventually it's going to die. Eventually it's not going to get the job done. So where am I drawing the line? I'm drawing the line with a reasonable amount of time, in a reasonable amount of comfort, reasonable amount of appearance. You know, I'm not expecting baby butt all the time, but if an average guy can go to an average job having the shave that I have and be thought of as acceptable, then yeah, as not needing a shave, as presentable, that kind of thing, then it meets my standard for the presentation aspect of it. And obviously with a method like this, and this is witch hazel, alcohol-free, unscented, I'm going to lay it down right before I put on my Stirling splash. And reasonable closeness, obviously. Oh, that's what I was talking about with being presentable. Just that kind of closeness, good enough closeness. And reasonable amount of comfort. A little discomfort may be okay, but obviously that should be short-lived. Who wants a little discomfort every day? A light tugging sensation is not uncomfortable, so I'm fine with that, to me. All right. That's my standard. And I've done almost 500 shaves with the blade, and we're still working on one side. So that'll be interesting to flip it over someday. So Mammoth Stone's just a terrific, the Tusk soap base is fabulous. As we know, no matter what method of lather application you're doing. And I like this soap in terms of scent as well, because it's all those bass notes. And I just, almost similar to music, I love a good bass line. And I love these bass notes here. I don't mind that there's no fruits or florals or, or high woods or cedar, or anything like that. I'm so glad he came up with this, because I sure do. I sure do enjoy this. And there we go. All the pieces of gear are cleaned up. Triumph is one of those that is definitely patterned after an existing kind of cologne, and so it could definitely be overdone. Let's see how it does as a splash. I'm about to go to sleep, and so I'm interested to see if maybe this one would be good if I was about to go and hang out with some people. If I felt like maybe this was an old fogey or out of date, or if it was too overpowering, overbearing, yeah, that sort of thing. So it's kind of pleasant. It kind of does feel like it could lean that way about being a little overbearing. I could potentially see somebody hanging around me who had put too much of like a cologne like this on. Is it supposed to be British leather, English leather, with Triumph being the name? I can't remember. Maybe that's in my notes. But there we go. That is today's shave, and it doesn't need to go on too long, does it? So I like the fact that I don't have to work that face lather to get up together into a full lather, because that's just so much work on your face as you add water and keep working, switching directions and types of strokes and motions and things like that. I definitely favor this method over that for myself. Now, there's tons of guys out there who face lather kind of the current artisan way, where you build it up on your face until it looks all luxurious and creamy and stuff. But I think maybe this method might have been something that resembles what our forefathers and our grandparents and great grandfathers have done over in the history. Is this kind of lather? And one of you guys, was it Uncle Shaves? One of you guys mentioned that, yeah, indeed, when a lot of those forefathers were done shaving, they wouldn't even rinse out their brush. They would just put it back in the cup, put it back in the mug. And so in terms of the soap eating the animal hairs, I think that's why we have so many animal hair brushes that are used, like boar brushes especially, that you buy them and you get them in there. They're just depleted. So many broken fibers because they would leave the soap on there too long. And a lot of them have those curved bristles because they just got put down in the mug and curved, So I think that was commonplace. I've seen that in many cases in photos and things like that. You get finished and you don't care about the brush, and or maybe you don't know to care about the brush, and so you just take it. And maybe conservation, there's some good soap on that brush. If I just put the brush back in the cup, then that soap's kind of going to be there for me the next day. Maybe so. Yeah, the Triumph, I don't think it's kind of resonating with me too much. Maybe a little too cologne-y and something. Douchebaggy might be a word to describe it. But it's not obnoxious in terms of I'm not going to have trouble falling asleep or anything like that. But yeah, I think maybe this might be one I choose not to wear if I'm going to go jump in a car with somebody and be in close proximity to where, that could affect things. All right. Well, very good. The Fatip did well. I got a close enough shave. We're going to keep going, keep tromping away. And that's it for today. Thank you guys so much. It's a late night shave, and so the quick format also lends itself to that in this case. Mammoth Stones did great. The Whip Dog brush continues to be awesome, and it works well with the Slurry Lather method, as now I've put two Slurry Lathers together with it. And I think that'll be it. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You guys, take care. Good night.